Hi. Today I want to do this video about why it is important to preface needs over understanding in a relationship. It's a Monday, it's midday, kind of chilling, having my tea before my work week gets started. Um, and I like to be able to, ponder some of the things that I've reflected upon in the previous week that have been coming up in sessions with couples, individuals, and even families. And one of the things that have come up is how sometimes trying to understand your partner, your child, your co-parent can actually get in the way of actually achieving your objective, which hopefully is harmony in the relationship, the ability to work together, the ability to find a common ground and create a strategy or plan to overcome whatever it is that's coming up. The reason that I wanted to focus on this topic is because I think it's one that is really prevalent in a lot of relationships, not just today, but throughout time, whether it's socially, communally. Many times we want to understand someone else, and that is not a bad thing at all, at all. But sometimes we try to understand for the purpose of having a sense of control, having a sense of, because I understand where you're coming from, I can anticipate either your needs, your moves, what you might be feeling, and I can best navigate my own internal world as a result of what to ask of you, what I can expect from you, and to quell any type of fear or anxiety or uncertainty I may have in this relationship with you. Now, that's some of the times. Some other times, we just want to understand someone because we're interested in them. And that's dope. That's dope. But when it comes to cooperation, co-working, teamwork, understanding tends to be uh, pretty irrelevant. Pretty irrelevant. And I say that because for most of us, we diminish or don't recognize just how unique and different we all are. Because we each have an extensive background, experience, ethnicity, culture, belief systems, just stages of life that we're in, different things that make us very unique. Trying to translate that to someone else before they're able to actually hear and receive what we're needing in the moment can be a fleeting endeavor. That can be one of the most round robin, circular type of conversations that really many times doesn't get us anywhere. I was just watching this video on, I forget the actress's name, but they put out this video on this discussion taking place in Harvard University. And it was a debate class. And there was easily 200 students in this class. And they were debating this topic of, it wasn't reparations, I believe it was affirmative action. Affirmative action. And I remember I'm watching and I'm listening to the different arguments being posed and the teacher kind of pointing out different points and directing the conversation of these young scholars, these young students who are going to be future leaders. And something that occurred to me was that I was watching a similar video, having similar conversations when I was in high school. Now, I don't want to give away my age entirely, but I'm an 80s baby, right? I went to school, public school in the 90s, 2000s. Well, I was graduating high school by early 2000s. But it's to say that still having the same conversation around the needs of a community based around predominantly a community that was outside of the black community. I think I probably spotted two black kids in the entire auditorium of over 200 plus students. Having a conversation around the needs expressed from a community, from individuals, from outside of the community. How pointless it kind of is. As much as you can read up and try to understand, if you haven't had that experience, you will not ever truly know what it's like to live in those shoes. And that's okay. And that's okay. Because the purpose of relationship is not that we all become the same by completely understanding one another. The purpose of relationship is being able to find harmony and knowing that we belong, that we are able to come together and to work together. This is how corporations are run. This is how most teams are run. Sports, athletic teams, any place of competition or a need to be able to achieve something collectively, we have a space, we have learned to create space where we're able to come together. And many times the diversity is actually a strength, is actually a strength. But if we're expecting the other person to understand our unique experience before our needs, our perspective can be heard, our desires can be acknowledged and received, we end up never actually connecting. We end up in this round robin of waiting for someone to get it, waiting for something to click. And many times it never really does. I had a really great conversation with someone who was talking about the experience of being a mother and what it meant to bear a child and the support that they were needing. And it was interesting because they also brought up that trying to communicate it with their partner, their husband, had been really challenging. And she expressed that, when she talked with another mother, they seemed to just get it immediately. But when she talked with her husband, it was this arduous kind of grind of how do I express, how do I say it just right? How do I anticipate what he's thinking and know how to respond so that he can understand what I'm needing? And I had to point out that he has a completely different perspective as you. And many times what would be far more effective, considering that your needs are something that's taking place in real time, is to ground yourself and root yourself in what those needs are and share them. But here's the thing, and this is what becomes a challenge many times in relationships, is that we find it very uncomfortable when there is a gap in the needs in terms of them being met by our partner. And this is why it's so important that we are able to name our needs, because ultimately we are the ones responsible for having our needs met. We are the ones who have the internal resources, skills, tools, opportunity to make sure that we meet our needs in real time. And sometimes that means that it's going to be outside of our partner. Now, I'm not talking about infidelity. I'm not talking about merely sexual needs, even though those are things to be talked about as well within partnership. But it's to say that many times the need for support in the home, the need for support in terms of what's going on at work or with colleagues or friends or family. There's so many other aspects of our lives. And as much as our partner, our significant other, may be doing a considerable amount of support in our lives, sometimes the areas where we are needing more support or lacking support with them can be met in other ways. But to get it met, we have to start with understanding what it is. We have to understand what we're needing. And we don't have to justify it. We don't have to justify it to ourselves. We don't have to justify it to a partner. It doesn't always even need to make sense to the other partner. And that many times is the challenge as the receiver, is that we are looking for it to make sense to us. And that can become a huge impediment because once again, we're different. That's okay. Even in a same-sex relationship, a same gender relationship, you're still two different people. Even if you're the same ethnicity, same religion, same culture, the culture that took place in your home of origin with your parents or caregivers, grandparents, your community, how you were brought up, the norms, the values, the way people engage is going to be different. Don't wait for someone else to be able to understand you before you can ground yourself in what you need. Communicate it effectively. And if someone is unable to meet that need, understand that you have the agency and autonomy to figure out where else you can get those needs met in a healthy way, in a way that actually is able to fulfill what is taking place in your life. Focus less on being understood. Know what you need, communicate it, and get your needs met.